Hey, this is Peyton, and I'm ready to rant. And today I'm going to be ranting about the third and final officially released Super Mario Bros. Movie. It's the second animated one I've covered, and the only one of these three films to be exclusively released in Japan. Its original title was Super Mario Bros. Peach Hime Kishudai Sakusen, which roughly translates to English as Super Mario Bros. The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach. And clocking in at only a little over an hour, this is by far the shortest of these three films, which for me is only a good thing because this is by far the worst of these three movies. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me start this off by saying that if you would like to watch this movie, because spoiler warning, I'm going to be giving full spoilers for this film, but if you would like to check it out for yourself, there is a 4K fan restoration of this film available for free on YouTube. And you can go to my description and watch the exact same high definition version of this film that I watched. And at the very least, it's a great effort. It looks really good because the actual film itself is, at best, it is a novelty. It is something you would watch to say, I have seen the true original Super Mario Bros. Movie, even before the live-action 90s one. Because otherwise, I do not think there is anything of value in this film that makes me want to say you should go watch it. And a lot of that stems directly from the plot itself, which, and I know this is sort of cliche reviewer language, but using the word plot to describe what happens in this film is like using the word writing to describe the story of a picture book. Like, there is no story in this movie. I'm not convinced that anybody wrote this film. And yet it's not quite Alice in Wonderland level where you're just taken through these fantastical settings and just the experience of watching all of this weird stuff unfold is the journey. It's like there's meant to be like these places and events that happen that have meaning, and none of it lands. Like, Mario and Luigi go to the Mushroom Kingdom, which, by the way, this movie and the 2023 one are extremely structurally similar to the point of having a dog kickstart the plot, at least at the beginning. In the 2023 film, this dog, it fights Mario and Luigi in the bathroom, and they end up destroying the bathroom, and that kind of gets them, going to the sewers ultimately. And in this film, Mario and Luigi are talking about going on this adventure, like, oh, maybe we should go and find, like, the Toad treasure, which I guess toads exist in their world, even though they go to the Mushroom Kingdom, and that's where all the toads that we see in this movie are. And that's because Mario and Luigi are actually, the film opens with them in their house, and Mario's playing this game on the Famicom, and he sees Princess Peach being chased by, like, Goombas and stuff in the game he's playing. So, I have no idea what the world building of this film is supposed to be. But yeah, they're hanging out in their shop at the start because, they're not plumbers. They're just shopkeepers, I guess, in this movie. So they're just hanging out, and then this dog comes in, steals their stuff. They go to the Mushroom Kingdom, and they meet this old guy there who's like, oh, you have to go and find the 3 legendary power-ups to help rescue Princess Peach. And so those moments I was talking about, the moments that are supposed to land, as they're journeying through the Mushroom Kingdom, they find, like, this mushroom and this star and the fire flower. And each time they find one of those, it's pure coincidence that they find them. It's not like they are making conscious decisions like, we will go here and get this. They're basically just wandering around, and then random stuff gets thrown at them. Like, they get captured at one point, they find this mine with a bunch of gold in it, but, like, they find these locations, and it's basically just pure happenstance that they ultimately get what they are looking for in these locations. There's never any sort of, like, driving force with the characters. It's just, and now we are at this place, and these events are going to happen. Like, stuff is thrown at the characters, and they basically just react to it all the time. And, I realize that this is an old 80s Mario movie. It's one of the first video game adaptations ever, apparently. It's not like I'm expecting, high concept, emotionally challenging writing from this movie, but the most proactive decision that any of the characters make is Mario and Luigi at the start of the film, when this dog comes into their business they have and steals Princess Peach's necklace, like from Mario's hand, because he has that from when Peach jumps out of the TV earlier in the film, which is a thing that happens and it's just never brought up again. But them chasing that dog to get the necklace back, that is it. Like, everything else just is pure luck that it happens, and it is so it makes for such a boring viewing experience. It really is just like nothing is ever happening at any point of this movie, except, of course, for the two, because one would not be enough, the two blatant product placement moments that happen as they're going through the Mushroom Kingdom. The first happens when Mario and Luigi stumble across the floating bricks from the games and they jump into them, and Mario ramen flies out of the block and they're eating it, and it's like, it's so good. And then later in the film, when Mario's fighting Bowser, at least the first one, like, oh, they're hitting the block and they're getting the product. Like, at least there's a little logic to it. Mario's getting ready to fight Bowser, and then this bowl of rice and Mario rice seasoning, I believe it's called, just poof into existence beside him, and he eats it. I don't know, I refuse to look it up, but you could not convince me that this movie was not primarily made as an advertisement for those food products that you cannot buy anymore. So that's fun to find out as you're watching. And, as you're watching, you're also going to appreciate the phenomenal voice acting experiences. In all seriousness, obviously, I don't speak Japanese, so I'm just listening to the Japanese version with subtitles like, this is all fine. The only performance that stood out in, I'll say, an interesting way, was the voice actor for Bowser, who, to me, sounded a lot like Richard Stephen Horvitz, who, if you've heard any of his work, like as Invader Zim or Raz from Psychonauts, you know that he has a very specific range, and it's just funny because this Bowser voice actor, whoever he is, listening to him talk, I'm like, he actually kind of sounds like him, and I've never thought that with any other voice actor before, so that was just kind of funny. But the other two voice actors who stood out for all the wrong reasons are the voice actress for Princess Peach and the actor for Kibadongo, this stupid little blue dog that follows Mario and Luigi around throughout the whole movie and does nothing until the very end. First of all, Princess Peach is actually fine for 99% of the words she says. She delivers them fine, it's fine. But the one word that sticks out is the one word she says more than any other in this film, which is Mario. And she says Mario's name an average of twice per scene, I want to say. She always says it in the exact same weird, shrill-sounding way. It comes out the exact same way every single time she says it. And I cannot put it into words. Here, listen to it. Mario, 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 Mario. Shut up! She says that more often than anything else, and it always comes out like that, and it is maddening. She just says it so frequently, on top of the plot that goes nowhere, and on top of Kibadongo, the blue, deformed little dog here. He has this bark that sounds like you're taking a real dog and strangling it to get this sound out of it. It is so weirdly intense, all the time, and it's a person obviously imitating a dog's bark, but it just sounds horrible. Why would you make this sound for a dog that is constantly with the main cast? It is just gosh, make it stop. And these two characters are just constantly doing these exact same sounds. Peach saying Mario, the dog barking. So it's like there's no reprieve as long as they're on screen. And when one of them's not on screen, the other tends to be. So it is just constantly annoying. And even when you're not dealing with this auditory torture, you are still looking at all the strange things in this film. The Goombas have arms. They have arms. They have these weird yellow little arms with balls on the end. What is that? What am I looking at? I said it in my other video I made on this film, my Let's Watch. This movie gives the 90s one a run for its weird money. Just the commitment to the original NES game story, down to the old man character saying that some of the toads have been turned into the horsetail plants, which was a weird aspect of the original game, which obviously got forgotten going past the NES titles. It is so funny seeing them stick to the game's story as much as they do. It's the opposite of the 90s movie, but it is spiritually the same, just the strangeness that this film offers, which is seen at no better point than after Mario fights Bowser and Peach is rescued. When Peach is given back her necklace from the start of the movie, it starts shining, and then Kibadongo turns into a prince, Prince Haru, the classic character we all know and love. And he's like, oh, finally, Peach, now I can be with you now that I've been returned to a human form. Simultaneously, this movie follows the original Mario Bros. Story to an almost strange degree, and on the same token, it just straight up makes up Prince Haru to get with Peach at the end. Yeah, there's only a couple things I can recommend from this film. I do like the amount of sound effects and music from the games that is featured in this movie. Like, they use a lot of the songs and sound effects that existed at the time, which, you know, credit where credit is due. That's something that only the 2023 one really got right. So it's cool to see it as early on as this film was made. And the only other thing that I'd ever really recommend this movie for is some of the animation, which, by the way, there are a surprisingly large amount of animation errors in this film. Just like, it's nothing major, but just a bunch of tiny little things that you can look at and see, that probably shouldn't look like that at this moment in time. But some of the faces that they draw the characters in this movie making are so meme-worthy that I am surprised I have never seen any images from this film before watching it. Like, I'm gonna have some going on the screen right now. Some of these are hilarious. How have these never been shared around? They are so funny. And quite honestly, they're the best part of the movie for me. Just the expressions that they get away with drawing on these characters' faces. They almost make the rest of the movie worth it. But not quite. Because as a Mario movie, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say because it's like old Mario stuff only. It's probably like a 6 realistically. I want to give it lower because I just don't think this movie is worth watching. In fact, as a movie, I think this is like a 2. Outside of some funny expressions, like, there's just nothing worth checking out with this movie. Other than being able to say, I've seen the true original Super Mario Bros. Movie. If you want a bonkers Mario movie, go watch the 90s one. And if you want, like, a true Mario movie, just go watch the new one instead. But as I said earlier, if you want to check this out, it is on YouTube in 4K in the description. You should go watch it. And then come back and let me know what you think of this movie. What do you think of the faces the characters make? Please share these faces around. They deserve to be seen. They are so off model for this series. They need to be spread around in some form. But otherwise, I think that covers everything I have to say about the great mission to rescue Princess Peach. So this has been Payton, and I'm done ranting.